keys. Stacking sats. Yeah. I got Bitcoin in my brain, yeah, I got my mind right. Stacking sats daily, plus I stack them in the night. Yeah, I got my proof of keys, yeah, I hide them in my mind. Yeah, I got my proof of keys, yeah, I hide them in my mind. I got Bitcoin in my brain, yeah, I got my mind right. Stacking sats daily, plus I stack them in the night. Yeah, I got my proof of keys, yeah, I hide them in my mind. Yeah, I got my proof of keys, yeah, I hide them in my mind. My bro got a multi-sig distribution across the globe. He don't trust exchanges, just use them to get mo. His name is Satoshi. He got, I don't moat, free man with a scope. 21 million Bitcoin, get grinding to get mo. I'll keep it real, you better cope with the situation. Hurry up and get some sats before it gets bought up by all these nations. I got Bitcoin in my brain, yeah, I got my mind right. Stacking sats daily, plus I stack them in the night. Yeah, I got my proof of keys, yeah, I hide them in my mind. Yeah, I got my proof of keys, yeah, I hide them in my mind. I got Bitcoin in my brain, yeah, I got my mind right. Stacking sats daily, plus I stack them in the night. Yeah, I got my proof of keys, yeah, I hide them in my mind. Yeah, I got my proof of keys, yeah, I hide them in my mind.
Test 1 2. Shout out to whoever's track that was. I just quickly found something on Twitter. I'm gonna go ahead and get right on into it. The last live was a trash can because the connectivity was not where it needed to be and the playback was whack. So I wanted to come back on here and do another quick live stream because I think this information is really important. And it was just on my heart to make sure I was getting this information to you all who are watching the channel and in the Discord. How's everybody doing? I hope everybody's doing well. It's been a crazy past few months. Shout out, I've been thinking about this a lot recently. Shout out to the person in the Discord who called this. Near the end of last year, I was doing a live and said, what if that doesn't happen and we see a crash and then we start seeing the market boom in May and summer? And so to whoever that was in the Discord, look where we're at, right? So kudos to you. Yeah, so I hope everybody is doing well. I thought this was really cool on Twitter, how to survive a crypto loss, because I know a lot of people have just been losing their asses over the past few months. Like I said, I got liquidated in February. Wasn't pretty, but I'm recovering. And I'm in a much better place spiritually, mentally, emotionally from that. But I know there have been past couple weeks. So, we learn our lessons, we pay our tuition in this market. It is what it is. And, take some time to process it. And then, review, where did you go wrong? I think that's a very, very important question. I've been reflecting on that. Where did I go wrong? And I know exactly where I went wrong. And it ultimately, comes down to greed and poor risk management, So I thought this was really good. I also shared this on my X account. I thought it's a really good piece to reflect on. All right. Okay, so the purpose of this stream is to go over alkanes, oil, diesel, airheads, things all of these things I've talked about, and talking about airheads specifically. I was talking specifically about oil, the wallet, accumulating points with airhead, right? So this is evolving, and I've been trying to stay involved and engaged and active in this because I don't know why. I just feel like people are sleeping on this, and I don't know if that's just me. I mean, I'm nowhere near a coder. And I'll talk about, I guess I can talk about it right now. We're going to be talking about Diesel. And I've spent like the past 3 weeks trying to mint Diesel through the CLI, and to know to no win. I haven't won any, but just the process of like the docs and like being in the Discord and like, talking to a few coders and developers, like it's crazy. Like I have so much more respect. I already had a lot of respect for developers, but like, let me tell you, when I tell you, I was just staring at that screen, looking at the terminal on my computer, just like, what the fuck is going on? Like, it's crazy. But enough of that. Let's get into it. And I thought about like, am I gonna sit here and like try to bullet point this and go through this, or just pick some clips of the founders talking about this? So I pulled 3 clips, about a total of 10 minutes of footage. I know it sounds like a lot, but within this 10 minutes, I think you're going to have a pretty good understanding of what's going. You can either get with it or not. Doesn't matter to me, right? But I think it's really important to, because and I'm sorry, I'm like, I might kind of just ramble a little bit, but I was just having another moment where I was like, and it's so cliche and maybe even corny at this point to say, this is the time you need to be paying attention when everybody's down bad and like, fear's high and everybody's like giving up. Like, this is the time to pay attention. But I really do believe that. I really believe this is the time to be paying attention. And like I said, with Oyl Alkanes, I just feel like I'm not hearing a lot on crypto Twitter. So with all that being said, so this first clip, and if you're tuned in, hit the chat, let me know you're listening. I was going in and out, connectivity was terrible, and nobody said anything, right? So let me know if my shit is whack. All right. Okay, so this first clip is kind of a tee up to what Alkanes is. So we're going to play a couple minutes of this.
How is that the case?
Well, I think, Domo, of course, like paved the way for all of us. And like, whether you like it or not, JSON was
And Domo with BRC20.
it was a very easy to use format for everyone. I mean, people were like, that was a meta protocol you could do on pen and paper, which I think was amazing.
Amazing.
And so I think that really was the fungible standard that I think Runes like is something in some ways evolved as like a reaction to that. And it's like, how do we make a meta protocol that like really is space efficient, really like preserves like the model of Bitcoin like, as closely as possible. And so a lot of time and thought from Casey went into kind of paved the way as well for what we eventually put together. So I think like learning from all these different meta protocols, Runes as well, we were able to, and inscriptions even, we were able to build on all those structures and bring something together that that has a lot of utility and can solve some of the problems that Alec has mentioned, like building an AMM, things like that. And even we started with initially with proto runes is how we kind of got prepared to scaffold some of this stuff.
And this was really the first time that we started hearing the word programmable meta protocol. I mean, all of your predecessors, no one was really working on a programmable meta protocol. I think maybe the BRC20 team in the very, very back wings, but not publicly, was talking about this. And I remember, I mean, do you remember the tweet? Do you remember?
I remember the tweet, Isabel. I remember very well the tweet. The tweet came from someone named Isabel Fox and Duke, and I retweeted it.
It got some retweets, but I mean, we were just jamming about like how it came out, and you were like, "I'm pretty sure I've figured out how we could do a runes duplicate style, a fork of runes with a programmable indexer, essentially. I mean, TLDR, right?
Yes, all accurate.
Yeah, okay, all accurate. And I remember like tweeting off the cuff, like did not think anything of it. And I said, programmable runes are coming, and the internet exploded.
We were all excited.
We were all excited.
You know?
Okay, so there's that piece. So in short, an Alkane being almost like a programmable rune in like the simplest high level way of putting it, right? And so let's go to this clip because he says a little bit more on it. And what's up, the pothead? Thanks for hitting up the chat.
But Proto-Runes was a framework, so which could also
swaps through.
It could be a swap. It could be you have to bridge them between different instances of Proto-Runes, which are different sub protocols.
Which is complicated.
It can be complicated. It's not UX friendly. So but it can be useful. But it's kind of a good framework to build something like what Alkanes eventually became, and that is going to be the first smart contract platform or framework, meta protocol, whatever you want to call it, on Bitcoin L1. And that is a system where we can deploy the lending system and users can deploy the marketplaces all in the same shared space. The indexer tracks it all, and then we can trade with assets within that same meta protocol. Proto-Runes would enable you to have other deployments of.
Okay, so there's a little bit more on Alkanes in particular. So this last segment I'm going to play is going to essentially tie up everything between Oyl, the wallet, and which is also tied to Arthur Hayes, and Diesel as well, which is like the Genesis Alkane, All right, so bear with me on this one. This is going to be about a 5-minute clip, but again, it's going to tie everything together.
Airheads also was kind of like one of the first. I mean, there's some stuff with RSIC and Runestone and other things that had implications in the future. Was kind of one of the first that is like, you buy this asset, you hold it in the wallet, you get XP points. You hold other assets, you do things, you do quests, like you get XP points. And it's built
the whole game.
We weren't even going to build an XP system, and we kind of like last minute we're like, this might be interesting. And now we have this fully robust XP system that tracks the asset value,
which node months do you have,
second, and which node grab attention, and to eventually launch your protocol and what you're actually doing. So for us, like we've been very, we haven't compared to our counterparts, we haven't raised as much money, and we have very
we haven't had to
proactively tried to extend that as long as possible so that we have things that we have built that we can show, and so we're not selling a major portion of the token or the company, and are getting a better valuation.
And your users are your investors ultimately, right? And they're the ones who win if you win.
The people that are going to crush it in Oyl, they're people that are in the Discord, setting up a CLI, figuring out how to mint Diesel, like using our SDK, not even using the wallet.
Is Diesel XP? Is that what you call it?
Diesel is it's an Alkane.
Oh, it's an Alkane.
And anybody can get it, but there's only one per block. It actually is structured similar as I could make it to Bitcoin currency itself. It's just all it is a transaction. You have to be the first person to send the transaction for the block that claims that and so ideally,
so you basically call it a smart contract. You set up your transaction to have in the op return the right messages,
and this is the distribution mechanism for
the contract. So the first person that gets it included in a block gets the mint for that block. So it follows the block schedule. When there's happenings, it will also have. So the last Diesel will be minted or will be available to be minted in 116 years.
I like distribution mechanisms that require you to pay fees to miners on L1.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing, is that actually what we believe will happen is that once everybody wants Diesel, and it's already happened, there's already competition going as we speak to claim the Diesel for this, whatever block it is now. But it will converge where miners will simply claim the Diesel. So what does that mean? So that's when miners are claiming the Diesel, then you can create smart contract systems that are external, where you can actually bribe miners through the itself. So that's an interesting thing, because more complicated incentive structures for miners creates more markets for things like staking, for things like even just the future of Bitcoin. We'll see it evolve. But Diesel is kind of like an experiment where it's just a simple like a mechanism where you can have alternative incentive structures to bring value to miners and help secure the network.
Yeah, and Diesel is not sold to VCs. You have to mine it. And it's similar to only
like free fair.
It's only hard coded Alkane in the indexer.
It's the special Alkane. It's the first. It's like Alkanes are all numbered in the order that they are created. So Alkane. So that's the 0th Alkane.
It's like Ordi.
It's like Ordi, and but it's the Alkane way.
Diesel is the Ordi of Alkane.
It's the first alkanization of crude oil. It's the first alkanization of crude oil.
Diesel, you guys. I do love the
diesel.
fuel energy theme. That's very maxi of you.
Yeah,
you know?
when we settled on diesel, we were like, "This is it." And like, I think it was
Perfect.
like all of us were like, "Yes." And like,
Nailed it. Absolutely nailed it.
Why not?
This is a topic that's become near and dear to my heart. Is basically like, okay, we are clearly moving into a world where Bitcoin is going to be like scaled in one way or another. It like needs to happen, or we're going to live in like a BlackRock future only. But how do you make sure that miners on L1 get paid in that universe? And I think this is a great option. So thank you guys.
Yes.
Okay, so there's that piece. So I think let me test. So I think it's really important to understand like how early this is to get, I guess in the roadmap, if you want to say Alkanes and all of this is just this week, they enabled in the Oyl wallet to transfer Alkanes, right? That's how early it is. There is no AMM by the team, built by the core team yet. Again, that's how early we are. Just today, a marketplace, iDclub has put together a way to purchase and trade Alkanes. So again, early days, early days here. So a lot of risk, of course. Do your own research as always. We know this on this channel, almost like a hedge against stacks in a way, because like what happens when you can do all this shit on L1? What happens when you can do DeFi on L1, right? So I think we need to be paying attention. So this is the Alkanes developer docs. I thought this would be interesting to show you what this looks like in the mempool, the op return runestone. That's someone claiming diesel right here. Let me tell you, over the past couple weeks, I don't think I've ever observed the mempool this much in the history of me being in Bitcoin. I've I don't know. It's, you know, like I said, I haven't been able to claim any diesel yet because people involved in minting this and claiming diesel who are using some strategies that I have not been able to crack. And as frustrating as it is, it's also like kind of fun in a way. And I never thought that I would be, you know, sitting on my computer, opening my terminal, putting in code and trying to figure out scripts and like all this different kind of stuff. You know, another thing that people are using is rebar, which hides your transactions in the mempool. Something else I've been learning a lot about. So like really, really cool stuff, what they're doing, fun stuff, honestly, also frustrating stuff. But stuff that we ultimately need to be paying attention to. Here's another thread. And diesel. Does this one talk about diesel? Yeah, what is diesel? So cool little thread here. Another important site to know, Metagraph, and all of this is in the Discord. Like if you have an interest in what is going on with Alkanes and Oyl, you have to absolutely be in the Discord, or you're just not going to be getting all the information. Because again, it's like a lot of this feels like really low key for some reason. There's definitely some notable accounts on Twitter who are, you know, promoting Alkanes, if you will, and heavily talking about Alkanes, but I still feel like I'm not seeing a lot of it, you know? So if it's something you're interested in, you have to, and essentially this is Metagraph. I don't even know if I said what it was, but Metagraph is the Explorer. So you can come in here, you can see tokens that have been launched. You can, put somebody's taproot in here and look at their alkanes balance and da 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 da. So very, very useful. MintAlkanes, I believe the first alkanes minting site where you can mint freshly launched coins. This is where everybody came to mint methane. Methane is essentially the community meme coin token of alkanes. So I think this is a really, really important one to me to have a little bit of exposure to. Like I mentioned before, be careful, use with caution, do your research, know what you're doing. But iDclub, another one where at first you could come on here and mint tokens, and now you can come on here and trade alkanes. Another important one, Subfrost, which is said to be the first DeFi application via alkanes. Definitely want to, I guess via Oyl and the protocol, but definitely want to stay in tune on this. They just did a not a live stream, but they just did a space in the Airheads community. This may launch within the next 6 weeks. Of course, when I hear 6 weeks, I'm like, okay, really, it's going to be 9 or 12, but this is around the corner, essentially. So very, very exciting stuff on that. Going into Airhead, talked about this a few times in the past. You can get your Airhead, keep it in your Oyl wallet, gain XP. That XP will eventually qualify you for an airdrop, which they've mentioned multiple times, which quite honestly, I'm a little bit confused about, because I think either the airdrop is supposed to be a filled with air token at one point. I don't know if they're going to be airdropping some diesel. Like I'm really, I feel like I've been trying to find that particular information, and I still haven't quite found Airheads and accumulating XP in the Oyl wallet, right? So, I think what the floor is like 237 right now for a small. You can come down here to the bedridden, which is around 5 something, I think I saw today. Yeah, there's a bedridden for 574 right now. So, and of course, the bigger size that you get, the more XP you accumulate, right? So there's that. Alkane Imperium. So from my understanding, Alkane Imperium has nothing directly to do with the Oyl and Alkanes team whatsoever. Launched on, was that not inauguration day? Was it inauguration day? I don't know. It was something with Trump, and these are like minted on Trump sats, and just like, perceivably like a very intentional ordinals collection, honoring what's another word for honoring? I'll just use that. Honoring alkanes, right? So interesting stuff to be paying attention to. Total supply 99. This was popping off. This was popping off when it first launched. So we'll see what happens as we continue through what we hope is the continuation of the bull run. And I'm going to go ahead and just like call myself out here. This is why it's so important to do your own research, and why I always say, like, we're as adults, as we watch these streams and as we're on these, Twitters and all this kind of stuff, all of your actions are your responsibility, right? All of that to say, on the last stream that I did, I had the totally wrong Magic Internet money pulled up. And luckily I didn't even buy a lot of it. Like it was just literally pocket change. So I wasn't even tripping over it. But like, you know, just a dumb, stupid mistake to be buying the wrong Magic Internet money. But I talked about this last stream because like something in my gut is telling me we need to pay attention to this. Now, from my understanding, the Magic Internet money rune has nothing to do with Taproot Wizards. You know, 1 and 1 equals 2, you know, like the correlation, Magic Internet money, such a prominent, you know, meme within Bitcoin, very embedded in the history of Bitcoin. I don't know, something's telling me to pay attention to it. And we already see it up 50% today. So I just wanted to mention it. That's all. Lastly, I wanted to bring it back home to dog. I still feel very bullish on dog. Like I said, I think on my X account, and I think last stream as well, I'm in the process of building my position back because of the catastrophe that happened to me in February. So I still feel bullish on dog. I think it's the easiest play that I've ever seen. So could be wrong. Maybe it trends back to zero like it has been the past few months. Who knows? But I thought this was interesting just to kind of like zoom out and see what could be with a pretty modest investment. You know, $1,000, you know, what if it's 100, whatever, right? It could be something, right? So I'm bullish on dog, but you don't have to be, right? All right, that is all. Like I said last stream, I'm not really planning to do a lot of streaming. I'm just focused on my bag right now. I'm focused on my portfolio. I'm just focused on really being in the Bitcoin ecosystem. I'll hop on here, you know, randomly, who knows? But yeah, if you need to catch me somewhere, catch me on X. You can DM me on there. But other than that, this might be it for the year. That is all I have for you. Thank you for tuning in.
They're alive. Yeah. Heaven on earth. Perfect case. Stacking sats. Yeah. I got Bitcoin in my brain. Yeah, I got my mind right.
Oh, and one thing real quickly, just like to say, I'm still heavily in stacks as well, you know. But
a whole bunch of dough. He gave us Bitcoin. That's a whole bunch of dough. I don't hope, I don't mope. Free man with a scope. 21 million Bitcoin. Get grinding to get mo. I'll keep it real. You better cope with the situation. Hurry up and get some sass before it gets bought up by all these nations. I got Bitcoin in my brain. Yeah, I got my mind right. Stacking sass daily, plus I stack them in the night. Yeah, I got my proof of keys. Yeah, hide them in my mind. Yeah, I got my proof of keys. Yeah, hide them in my mind. I got Bitcoin in my brain. Yeah, I got my mind right. Stacking sass daily, plus I stack them in the night. Yeah, I got my proof of keys. Yeah, hide them in my mind. Yeah, I got my proof of keys. Yeah, hide them in